So we will start with roll call. Rich Berlandi.
Present.
Emily Brick. And no Emily. Dave Fox.
Here.
Bob Hannon.
Here.
Robert Eisner.
Here.
Mark Simpson. Okay, not seeing Mark online either. Ned Stachin.
Here.
Jay Tulin.
I'm here.
And Guy Wolf. Okay, not seeing Guy either. So if you'd like, Bob, you can appoint Rich for Guy, or Mark,
Okay.
actually.
Well, that works for me. That's just fine.
Okay.
First item on the agenda is Town of Farmington drainage improvements at Copper Mine Village Detention Basin.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, and this is, so I've got the updated agenda got posted to the website and with the clerk's office, and we apologize, we neglected to get the updated agenda to you folks. I did send you the items for 10 Pheasant Hill yesterday, but we didn't get the updated agenda, so I apologize. So we are going to start with 10 Pheasant and then do the cause hearing, and then we'll finish with Farmington because I'm just doing that presentation.
Okay, now I was just going by what I printed off, so, okay.
So I certainly understand, and that was a mistake on my part, so I
You're lucky,
apologize.
no, you're lucky I got that far. So we'll do William Yankus first, 10 Pheasant Hill Road.
Yes, and I can see James Morrissey, we've got James Morrissey, Bill Yankus, and Dennis on the application. I'm not sure who's taking the lead with this discussion.
This is Bill Yankus. I'll take the lead, but I think for all the technical questions, I'll defer to Dennis, who's going to be doing the construction. But essentially what we're doing, I'm the resident of 10 Pheasant Hill in Farmington. We are replacing a 60 by 120 tennis court, which you can see in those drawings that you have there, or the picture that you first flashed up, with a 20 by 40 swimming pool with various landscaping and more or less very natural landscaping. A little bit of hardscaping close to the pool, but so the amount of space that will be taken by the pool is significantly less than the space that was covered by the tennis court. Tennis court, by the way, was built in '95, well before I lived here. But I'm gonna just defer to you guys and maybe have you ask questions. I'm not sure. I've never been through one of these before, so I'm not sure what you need to know.
Okay. So you had questions, right, Shannon, on the effect that we're doing with the property? Was that one of the questions?
Sure, Dennis, if you wanted to speak to the construction practices before we turn it to the commission for their questions, you can certainly chime in at this point if you'd like.
Okay. Well, with the tennis court being removed, we will actually have a safe area because we'll be below grade in the area. Obviously, when we take out the stone base and the asphalt, we should be down around 18 inches below the original grade that's there right now. And then what we were going to do is if we put up a silt fence, first thing, and then take and if we need to dewater as we're working on the pool in case of flood, but we know it's extremely dry nowadays, we would set up bales of hay, a silt fence, and a stone bed to run the pipe in so we have pure, clean water going out. And we could run it into Bill's yard if need be, because he's got just over 2 acres there. So we're not getting anything in the swale that is behind the property or between the properties. It looks like it's just an old dried river bed maybe that runs, I think, probably when you guys just get melt off from the snow. There's no indigenous vegetation whatsoever in the area. So that shows it as being like a wetland like it would be in other places.
Okay.
So I think it was just maybe built by whoever designed the neighborhood to let the water flow from the mountain instead of wiping out everybody's houses in there. That's why I think we never saw it on the drawings. And,
Sure, okay.
And then we're going to use a cartridge filter, so there's no backwashing going on in between cleanings of the swimming pool, so there's no contamination going anywhere. And then if need be to drain the pool for working on it in the future, we would use a sub pump and a hose, and we could slowly drain it into Bill's yard and just let it absorb into the land like they do with, if that's acceptable.
Okay.
I think that's it. That's about it, I think.
Okay. We'll turn it back to the commission for questions then.
All
Okay.
right, Rich, you're up.
And looking at the plan, are there any wetlands on the property?
Not really, no.
It's a water course that shows up. It shows up easier on the aerial. So this feature running behind the tennis court and basketball court continues off the northeast and then continues to the southwest and crosses under Waterville Road, Route 10, and into the golf course. It actually flows north a little bit in the golf course and then meanders its way through the golf course to the Farmington River. But it's a drainage swale / water course, intermittent water course.
It's intermittent, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only questions I had. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dave?
Anybody else? Yeah.
I was wondering how far is that intermittent water course from the closest construction that you're proposing?
I guess the pool is like 56 feet away. And then, like I said, then the ground comes up 18 inches because the whole property from, I guess, as you're looking from the road towards the property from right to left, continuously tapers. So just like the swale and the neighbors' yards, everybody's yard just kind of, so that's the Pheasant Hill, so it keeps going downhill. And then I guess, yeah, so the closest bit of, I guess when the tennis court comes out, it's going to be within, I think, 10 or 15 feet of that swale. But then that'll all be filled back in with vegetation within 56 feet. So now there'll be, instead of a 10-foot area, let's say, to the swale, it's going to be a 56-foot area of vegetation, or not quite 56. I think you have 20 foot of patio in there, Bill, something like that.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. I think it should show on one of the drawings you guys have. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I can't see the drawings. So there'll be like, I guess, 30 feet of vegetation versus 10 that was there before. So it'll be to the plus side of nature.
If that blue line right there is shows basically right where this swale is.
James, for the record,
No,
by yourself first.
The blue line is, I thought that's the silt fencing,
That's
isn't
the
it?
It's a
silt
silt
fence.
fence, but yeah, but it's like it's right there. That swale is right.
Yeah, I think the swale is shown by the contours, the points of
see
the
the contours?
contours.
Yeah, so that seems to be quite a bit further away.
Correct. So here is the swale, and it's identified by the contours. There is a rather steep bank that's picked up from that's visible on the aerial. The edge of the basketball court and tennis court are shown in this location. They were sketched in on an existing as-built. So these, on this particular plan, the tennis court and basketball court are not surveyed in. They were sketched in, but it shows a reasonable proximity to where the swale is. And so this edge of tennis court is here, and this area here is all being removed with the pool being installed. And then this is the limit of excavation with the tennis court being removed, and that's where the silt fence will be installed.
So that looks like maybe 50 feet from the swale, the limit of excavation.
Roughly.
Yeah. Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 56. I think we took a tape and pulled off of it. So.
And in terms of emptying the pool, that's, seems like quite a bit of water. It's going to take quite a bit of time
Usually,
to infiltrate
yeah,
into to the land.
well, usually we would, whenever we empty pools, instead of just using a big 3-inch pipe or pump, we usually use a garden hose and take a few days. So it allows it to kind of settle into the ground. And we also neutralize everything because that's a requirement from the state of Connecticut to make sure there's no chemicals in the water. So there's no, algicide that can wipe anything out or any chlorine-based materials. So that's been a practice. That's supposed to be the practice of all pool companies, but that's certainly what we do for sure.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Robert?
It seems pretty straightforward. Just a question on the plan that we're looking at. You've got the blue line, which is the soil and erosion control. What's that rectangular box in front of the blue line? Yeah, that.
That is just a planting area.
All right. It seems pretty straightforward. It's all upland review area. You're just taking the existing developed part of the property and converting it to the pool. So when we get around to the discussion, I'd be leaning towards a use as of right for residential property. That's all I have, Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Ned?
Yeah, is there any kind of drainage system for the tennis courts or the pool or rather the tennis courts or the basketball court? Or is it just run off to the side?
It just runs off to the side.
Okay. And when you remove however much you have to go down of the tennis court, are you bringing any fill back in?
No, there won't be any fill be taken out, and then, well, only fill we brought in will be topsoil just to go around for the planting beds and everything. Everything
Okay.
else for the pool will be hauled out.
Okay. And then, so on this plan that we're looking at, the 135 and then one, are those to the?
Yeah, those are to the property line.
I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Jay?
Jay Sulin? Jay, you've got to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yep, go right ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. No, my question was answered. I was looking at the plan and I was curious whether or where there were wetlands, and that question got answered. So by Rich and by Dave's questions. So I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. I know that you were saying that you need to be able to like neutralize the chlorine and things of that nature, but you didn't mention anything about the salt in the water. How would you plan on drawing that out? Because if I'm reading this correctly, it's a saltwater pool.
I've never really the salt content is at the point where it is like a teardrop, so it's not like extremely salty. I know it hasn't really killed any vegetation because we've had put it on people's grass before, so it hasn't killed anything like that. So it's not like it's crazy salt water like the ocean or anything like that.
I'm actually more concerned about if you happen to be discharging water out of the pool at the same time that intermittent stream is actually running, you could get salt into the water and that can have an adverse impact on wetland species. So, I mean, that's kind of what my concern is on it. But what I'm wondering is just looking at the topography. If I'm reading this map the right way, I'm just wondering if it's possible to move the pool water discharge area a little bit closer to the shed so that you're much further away from the intermittent stream, and the water is going to run a lot longer over the property. Because the water, I mean, looking at this, it would be going more towards, I'm just gonna say a northeastern direction here. I don't see the north arrow here, but just sort of up and to the right, where the grades there are pretty stable, but it's also a lot further away from where the intermittent stream is. So if that's something that could be done, that might be better off for everybody, and then there may not be as much of an issue dealing with this, whatever salt content's in the water.
No, that can very easily be resurrected for sure, either by, I guess just, it would have to be somebody on site, myself or one of my guys, and I guess the homeowner, if we ever drain the pool for any reason. Or I guess we could probably put a pipe to make it divert that way if need be on the side of the shed, so it points into the yard and away from the stream, which would be very easy to do.
Yeah, to me, it's just a safer way of dealing with this, because again, I
Sure.
don't know what the salt content really is. I know you're saying it's not that high, but I also don't want to take a chance of having water, that's flowing naturally take on more of a salinity value. So just trying to figure out how this can actually work. I mean, and I agree with Robert that, I mean, with what's being taken out and what's being put in, I think my tendency would be that this is something that would be allowed by right. But I'm just trying to make sure that we're dealing with the salt water so that it minimizes any potential chance of a risk.
No, that's a good call for sure. I agree with you on that. I think if we put in a 4 or 3 inch pipe that diverts, because it drops right past the pool house, I guess is what we could call that, which was the old tennis court house or guest house. I'm not sure what the heck it was actually, but we could drain something right towards that with the pool equipment, because that's going to be in the area, and it would automatically bring it away from the stream and towards the backyard, because he's got a big, beautiful green backyard there.
Yeah,
So that could very easily be installed and inspected by the inspector on the final inspection.
Yeah, because then I think the one thing that I would ask, assuming this does go forward, is that you revise the plan to show where that revised pool water discharge area might be. So this way Shannon's got the information on file. And it
Excellent.
just makes it easier for everybody to follow up with it. But that's my primary comment. Because people are on public water, I mean, that's not going to be an issue if the pool is drained in that respect. So that's what I have.
Okay.
Bob,
we could put that in.
This is Ned. I had one other question.
Go ahead, Ned.
Where is there a septic system on the site?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I thought would have represented. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too close to the pool.
I think it's 120 feet. From the
Okay.
pool.
Yeah. And as part of our review process, Ned, when it's in for building permit, Farmington Valley Health has a sign-off step. So they'll
Okay.
see this and make sure that all the equipment is at the appropriate separation distance.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so does the applicant have anything else they want to add? Or are they pretty much done for the night on comments?
I think that's
I think
it.
we're good. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. At this point in time, I'll open it up. We'll go in order again, just to see what people's attitude is, how we want to deal with it. Rich, start with you.
I would kind of agree with Bob that this should be permitted as of right. I mean, we're reducing the impervious area. We're farther away from the intermittent stream, and with the discharge point for draining the pool moved up and overland, I don't anticipate any impacts. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, Dave?
I agree with those 2 cents.
Okay. Robert?
Oh, sorry. Yep, no further comments.
Okay. Ned?
Yeah, I would lean towards this is a permitted use.
Jay?
Yeah, I'll go along with that too. It sounds like a pretty open and shut case to me.
So Shannon, we need a motion on this, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Would somebody care to make a motion to approve this as an allowed use with the condition of relocating the pool water discharge area closer to the shed?
So moved, and with the additional condition that the property owner continue to work with the town staff.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Ned.
Okay. Any discussion? Rich?
Nope, I'm good.
Dave?
Oh, all set.
Robert?
Yep, yep, approved.
Ned?
I approve.
And Jay?
I agree.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you. Yeah, thank you, James, for that hard work and stuff.
Thank-
So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
We can sign off now?
Yep, you can sign off, and I will follow up tomorrow. Yeah, within the next day or two, I'll follow up with everybody.
Okay.
All right, thank you so
Thank you.
much,
Have a great
Shannon.
night.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay.
Now, based on the agenda that I'm looking at, that Shannon has up on the screen, so I don't mess up again. Show cause hearing for 1200 New Britain Avenue.
Yes, and I've got Bruce here on the phone too, if, I'll probably have Bruce jump in and, but I'll do a quick brief overview. I'll hand it over to Bruce, and then the homeowner's also on the line. But this is the site plan that was reviewed and approved as part of the building permit application. There's a water course system at the back of the property, and it splits to the adjacent property. It meanders between the two. There's a wetland, delineated wetland edge at the back, and there's a conservation easement at the back of the property. And Bruce was, and then you can see the 150-foot upland review. In reviewing the building permit application and exchanging emails with the applicant regarding this, you know, he had moved a home, so it was outside the 150-foot upland review, and it was conditioned that the patio would not be constructed at this point in time. So it would be the home and nothing, no work, we were told no work within the 150-foot upland review area. So Bruce has been out doing erosion control inspections as we normally would. And when doing so, found that there had been encroachment into the wooded area. And Bruce, I'm gonna hand it off to you now. I don't know if you'd like photos at this point, or if there's more you want to talk about with respect to this plan.
Nothing more. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Well, like just like Shannon said, I was out doing an inspection. I kind of went up in there, noticed as you go up by that tree, which is what I kind of focus all of my distances off and all the pictures off of mostly. You can tell from in there was a small amount of clearing, and I don't know as much as clearing is more the depositing brush and cut trees in there. So you'll see from the photos in there that Shannon has. Here we go. There's that tree that's in the photo. So if you scroll right through, You'll
Oh,
see.
sorry.
No
Sorry
problem.
about that.
Yeah. That's at the tree, just more or less turned around, and you could see how they went in that area there. Okay, and then I have some pictures inside there showing that's the tape, and that's the measurement I use off that tree. So that's more or less where it shows on the plan. You can see the tree scrub in this and some cut brush. And from speaking with the owner, some of that is not from in that area. It was from on site. They had done some work, and then he had actually said that area was actually previously cut and was actually previously deposited material. And if you look, there was some older debris in there. So I kind of tend to believe him that that's not all there is, and that it was partially the previous owners. So I touched base with the owner, explained to him what was going on. We went back and forth. He had said the tree guy had gone in there without him knowing. He told him to stay out of there and just to haul it off, and they ended up dumping it in there. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Bob, would you like to hear from the owner at this point?
Yeah, but I want to ask Bruce something, because in the pictures, it almost looks like there's a bit of a pathway cut through there. Is that correct?
That, as I said, the owner had kind of said it was an old dumping ground for the old house that was there. I didn't see any fresh cut trees that actually created that path. I think there's actually, if you look at some of the older pictures in there, or some of the pictures as we get in there, there is an established lawn area. If you go back a little bit, Shannon, you'll see as I go back out to that tree. Yeah, see, there is still a lawn area, and that's not all just fresh cut. As he said there was some old stuff in there that the old owner was throwing in there. So it probably was partially already disturbed.
And do we have any of the
I just think
conservation plaques out there?
No, this is an older easement. This was
Okay.
a much older easement before we instigated the plaque program.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we can let the owner, give a
Sure,
representation on their side of this.
Yes, Robert DiTomaso, if you want to speak to this, I believe he's on the call.
Sure.
Robert, you-
I had a tree company come and we cut down some trees, and we had some, as you can see there, some branches and some compost, and there was already a path there. So I put some of it back there. On the GIS map, there's nothing that shows wetlands on the GSI map when I did this back in the spring. And then on the 23rd of July, Shannon gave me this map that showed this old easement that I didn't know was there. So I did put some, but there was already existing path. There was hose lines, there's old wood, there's all kinds of stuff back there. But I took some branches and dragged them back there to just clear them out. And then all the other logs and everything, those are already gone from all the trees. So, but I didn't cut anything back there. I just dragged compost back there, which I can easily take out. No problem doing that.
And, Shannon, can you go back up to the map that's got that area sort of marked out? Yeah, because I mean, the other thing that I'm looking at is I've got a question as to whether or not that area has been opened up even beyond this existing property line. Is some of this work being done on a neighbor's property, or was it done on a neighbor's property?
No, it's not on the neighbor's property.
Bob, if I could interject, it's a tough, as you can see, the measurement I took is approximate. So as part of doing anything out there, we definitely would want to see the property line marked in that area and confirm where it is and make sure we are not over the property. If it is, it's based on the plan. It's not that much at all. It's just a slight encroachment, but we'd have to have the surveyor determine that.
But the back property line is that line close to where the hand is right now, right? Just to the left of the thumb?
Yes,
And then sort of the dashed line a little bit above that, that's the edge of the easement area.
yes.
And then there's another easement on the other side of the property line that's subject to their rear yard or the rear lot.
Correct.
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Okay. And again, we'll start at the top. Rich, do you have any comments, questions?
I don't have any real questions, but I would think that the debris that's been deposited in that wetland area and in the conservation area should be removed and that area restored. That's mainly my concern, and any erosion or ruts that have been created there over the years should be restored too. Those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave?
I would agree with the removal and restoration of the area. I don't have any questions.
Robert?
Yeah, I concur. We would be looking for restoration of the area, remove the material that was placed. If there's any other solid waste, I think Zudi Tom also said that there are some garden hoses and other things while they're in there, just clean out any other solid waste. And then it would probably be worthwhile to install conservation easement markers for the future. That's all I have.
Ned?
Yeah, I think if it was just cleared, you know, if any of the compost or any of the material, the cut material is removed from the area encroachment, then I guess we could, you know. So the location of the house is location house located to keep it out of the 150-foot yard, the 150-foot upland review area, or it's just the way it was. I'm looking at the upland review line because I know Shannon was saying, well, don't construct the patio yet because the patio is the only thing that encroaches into that line. Am I?
Yeah, basically that was what we did initially because I needed to get this started in the fall and I wanted to start the project. The dates when you guys were meeting kept changing because of COVID, and I was really only within maybe like 4 or 5 feet of the area. So I just thought it would be easier for everyone if I just moved it 151 feet, started the house, started the foundation, got everything ready for the winter so I can start framing. And then for the patio, you know, it slopes the opposite direction from that conservation area. So Shannon
Yeah, it's
initially told me
sloping
that it
toward.
wouldn't be a big deal. It would be more possibly a board review. And then that got changed, and then they wanted me to fill out a permit and everything. So I just moved it 151 feet.
Okay. And yeah, this everything is from the wetlands. It slopes down to New Britain Avenue, right? Pretty much.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's all I have.
Jay?
Yeah.
You lose Jay?
No, Jay, you gotta unmute yourself.
I just did. Sorry about that. No, I don't have any questions.
I mean, I kind of agree with other members about cleaning up that area. Going in with the medallions is probably not a bad idea. I'm just wondering if it would be reasonable to sort of put some plantings in that area, like right along the conservation easement, as a way to just remind people that they need to stay out of that area. Fine, those are probably my biggest comments on it. I mean, I made a couple earlier, so you kind of know where I'm at on this. One of the questions is whether or not people think a site walk needs to be conducted. And I'm assuming that if there was a site walk, that's another way of also looking at some of the material that's been deposited back there over time, whether it's this property owner or somebody previously, to figure out what should be removed. So, Rich, what's your feeling about a site walk?
I'm kind of ambivalent one way or the other. To my mind, it really doesn't matter who deposited it, what material is there. I mean, this owner is responsible for that property now. You know, I kind of feel that no matter how it got there, it needs to be cleaned up. And the idea of putting a permanent marker on the conservation easement makes a lot of sense to me. And I was kind of wondering if you know, if the property owner really wants to do this patio, that maybe all of this can be rolled into an application to get the patio and correct this encroachment. That's my thoughts.
Dave?
Yeah, I guess a site walk might be okay. It's supposed to be a little bit warmer this weekend than it was this morning. If people wanted to go, I'd tag along. I have nothing else.
Okay. Robert?
You know, I think it's straightforward enough where we don't necessarily need to do a site walk. I'm not opposed to doing a site walk. And I just think that for the removal work, we need to be clear that it would be, you know, manual removal from within wetlands, not to bring more heavy equipment. And I do have one question, Mr. Chairman, and this would be for Shannon or for Robert DiTomaso. Who was the tree company that was involved? Since we've had quite a few similar situations with other tree companies.
They're out of Springfield. I can get you guys the invoice and shoot that over to your office. But I deal with the gentleman directly, so I have his cell phone info, but I don't have the name of the company on me.
Yeah, that would be helpful if you could provide that to Shannon, just for the, and the only reason is we deal with the tree companies know that they shouldn't be working in wetlands, and they actually put people like you, Robbie, in trouble when they don't follow the rules. So it'd
Okay.
be good to know who's following the rules and who's not. So we appreciate if you could pass that along to Shannon.
Yep.
That's
No
it.
problem.
Thanks.
Ned?
I kind of go along with Bob. I don't feel the need for a site visit, but you know, if we were gonna do one, I would go. It's close to my house.
Jay?
I mean, I'm kind of on the fence. It doesn't sound like it's necessary, and as you all know, I wouldn't be joining you anyway, but that's besides the point. But I don't know. Whatever you guys decide, I guess will be the best course of action, but it doesn't seem like it's really necessary to me.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a site walk, I don't want to voice an opinion one way or the other because I'm not going to make it regardless. I'm having enough issues as it is, so I'm fine sitting down in a chair right now, but walking on a site, I'm not taking the chance. So Shannon or Bruce, is this something that in terms of the area that needs to be cleaned out, is that something that you guys would feel comfortable sort of overseeing or identifying what needs to be pulled out of there?
I wouldn't have a problem. It's like I said, it's fairly simple as long as they're not going in there with heavy equipment. If they can do most of it all by hand, I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. We can, as you said, we can pull it all out and then they can dispose of it either off-site or chip it on site.
Okay, and then this also goes to Shannon and Bruce. If a lot of the material that has been deposited in the conservation area is by a prior owner, do we need some kind of a restoration plan? And I'm just trying to think of what we would be looking at that, because I'm just wondering if a lot of this is brush that may have been brought back into the conservation area. I mean, it looks as though there are some ruts and things of that nature in there that I think that needs to probably get raked out, smoothed out, so we're not creating more problems back there. And because I guess the one concern I would have is if that whole area is pretty much cleared out, what happens when the invasive species start popping up in there?
Yeah, I
So
think
I'm not,
yeah, we would want a seed mix, so, and, I'll be honest, I have not been out here myself as of yet. Things have, we've been jumping in the office, so Bruce handled it, and, we got it on the agenda so we could, take advantage of the special meeting. I do have time later this week on Friday. I think Bruce and I have to be out at another meeting anyhow, so we can swing out here on Friday and take a look. But it looks like, even looking at the other pictures, it looks like it's more of a forested area with not a lot of understory. If any of the understory, it's smaller items, so we could have this removed and then look at having, a few trees, a few hardwood trees planted within that haul road, so it's not used as a haul road anymore. And then perhaps at the entrance at the perimeter, here in this area, perhaps get some shrubs in. But if we could get this path taken out with some hardwood trees, get it seeded, we should probably be in good shape. And if we can get it seeded so that it's not, take a look at the soils and look at a restoration mix to put in there.
I would agree with that. It is an open area, so sun, it would get quite a bit of sun, so I don't think it would have a problem establishing itself. Like I said, they could probably just do some hand raking, just to get the bumps and the ruts out of there, and then just throw down a seed mix that we feel is adequate.
And then I think it's important to get the markers in place. And we've
Yep,
got to get
definitely
the easement.
Definitely
markers in
that.
place.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable if we had it marked before you guys went out, so at least we have an idea of what the property lines are.
Definitely,
So
and
I can
that
call
was
and
one
have
of my.
that done. If that's okay.
Yeah, they should mark out the back property line as well as the easement lines, so we have both lines.
Right.
the only question I have on it is we've run into this in the past where we're now on November 18th, and I'm not sure what may grow between now and the end of the year. So is this something that maybe we need to try to get raked out as much as possible and then just drop some seed down in hay and then go back and revisit the growth in the spring to make sure that we get some good cover back there? And then, if there are other trees that need to go in, do them in the spring. I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
saying
we're
one
not,
way or another. I'm just trying to think about the time of year we're in right now and what will or won't work.
right, no, I don't think we can do the planting now. I think we're too late, but we can certainly get, it looks relatively flat. We can take a look. We can get hay down, or we could probably throw a ryegrass in if we wanted to for stabilization, but it doesn't look like we've got a runoff concern and a springtime erosion concern.
Okay.
Can see what's going to emerge in the spring. If we get some of this brush removed, see what some of the understory is. But it does look like there's certainly room to get a couple of hardwood trees in here to help fill this in, and still plenty of room for those trees to grow and get that filled in a little bit.
Yeah, there's a nice little area there that you can put like four or so trees in there, and as I said, they would get plenty of sun, and they should grow fairly well. With regards to the material, I'm kind of, I can go either way on that. I could either look at, I don't have a problem pulling it out now, but like we said, I don't think you're gonna get any of the grass to grow. Or I wouldn't even, I would actually entertain actually even leaving it there, not even touching it, and get it in the spring, and do it at that point. Or actually wait a few more months when the ground is frozen and they could actually pull that out a little more, so they don't cause any more damage back there. So we have a wide range of ideas to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw out my 2 cents. I mean, I think probably now, while the ground is not frozen, is probably a good time to go out there and try to kind of rake out the ruts and just smooth things over. I agree with Bruce in terms of trying to pull the stuff out maybe in the wintertime when the ground's frozen. You're not going to be chewing up the earth as much, and that might make it hopefully a little bit easier. And then go back in the spring and sort of finish things up. But I don't know if others are in that same position. So I mean, I'll just throw it back out to everybody. Rich, how do we talked about a bunch of stuff. How do you feel about it?
I feel that method of what you just described, that seems reasonable to me.
Hey, Dave?
Yeah, I think the timeline that you just laid out was made sense.
Robert?
I agree that's fine.
Okay, Ned?
Yeah, I think it makes more sense to do the majority of clearing or removal of the cut brush and stuff when the ground is frozen, and then go back in the spring and finish up the cleanup and the restoration.
Okay, Jay? Jay?
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm doing something. I'm making a little noise, and I don't want to create a disturbance. Yes, that sounds good to me too.
Okay, so Shannon, what do you need from us now?
So it sounds like we're gonna forego the site walk. Bruce and I will follow up. Obviously, I will get out there myself as well. I agree, we'll get the property line staked and the easement staked out. Bruce and I will rewalk it. So if we're agreeable, it sounds like a motion to move ahead with the fall. We don't really need a motion. I'll revise our cease and desist order, but it sounds like we'll do fall, rake out the ruts and get some stabilization in place. Winter, remove any of the brush that's been deposited. In spring, we'll look at replanting and installation of the conservation easement markers.
Okay. As far as the work on the house, that would be allowed to continue, because my understanding is Mr. G. Tomaso is looking at starting to frame the house. Was that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's gonna be a cold winter. I can't wait.
So, I mean, we've got some sort of set points, if you will, as far as sort of raking out and stabilizing, then removing the brush, and then taking care of any restoration plans. So, I mean, I'm assuming that we can have a schedule set up for that, and everybody needs to comply with the schedule. And if, for example, things don't work out and the area is not raked out and sort of stabilized, then that could be another point where we could turn around and stop other construction too. But as long as the work is being done outside of the 150-foot upland review area, I don't have too much heartburn about continuing to work on the framing of the house. But Shannon, how do you and Bruce feel about that?
I would agree. I think that's fine. That should be allowed to be continued, and the septic system's up in the front yard, and we're probably better served, because I don't, Robert, have you backfilled the foundation yet?
I have
Robert?
not. We just tarred the foundation on Friday last week.
Okay.
That's what's next is backfilling.
Yeah, so I think we're better served allowing those activities to continue, because some of that material that we're seeing stockpiled out around that foundation, some of that's going to go back in around the foundation and create less of an issue long-term for us, particularly as we go through winter or spring. So I think it's to everyone's benefit to allow those activities to continue as scheduled.
I agree. And I think, like I said, as long as Rob gets a surveyor out there, Mark said, as long as we're working towards an end goal, I don't have a problem with that.
So to me, it sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just suggest, we should probably establish, because obviously to do the work around the house, they're going to have to go 25 or 30 feet around the foundation itself. So it's normally that will be within the regulated area. So we should just establish, that the property owner can work whatever we decide, 25, 30, 40, 50 feet from the foundation. That will allow the backfilling, but also to move any equipment necessary to do the framing and the normal construction.
Well, also, Robert, to follow up on that, I mean, and Shannon, I don't know if they've got any erosion control measures out there yet for the back area. I mean, I guess the slope is more towards the house, is that correct?
Correct. So it slopes away from the wetland area, so it does all slope to the east. And then in this area, it actually there's a pocket here. So as you drive by, you'll see there's large stockpile of material in this area, but it actually rises back up to the road. So I don't know that there's much erosion control on site. Certainly when we're raking this area out, we'll have some ryegrass put down just so it's stable through the winter and spring, and some hay.
Okay.
But we'll do a full walk of the perimeter and have measures put in place if needed.
So that, Robert, going back to your comment, is that something that Mr. DiTomaso should work out with Bruce and Shannon in terms of just how far he can, go back to start moving some of the earth around to backfill the foundation? You comfortable with that?
Yes, I just want to recognize that, clearly normal construction would have work occurring within the 150-foot setback. And I just want to acknowledge that we know that is going to occur while the cease and desist remains in place.
Okay. So we have a game plan here?
I believe
Shannon, you
so.
and Bruce are comfortable?
Yep, and if
Yes,
there's any issues, then we'll come back here with, talk to the commission. So, but I believe we're all set.
Okay.
We don't want to break it off.
Mr. DiTomaso, do you have any other questions, comments?
No, that's all. I'll call the surveyor and have him stake, and then we'll go from there. So thank you very much.
But you've got a pretty good idea of what we're talking about and what you can and can't do?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Robert, Bruce and I will follow up with you before the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I guess next up is the town with Coppermine Village.
Yeah. I guess they're right. Okay, I got a couple plans here. There's photos, there's a soil map. Here we go. This one's probably pictures worth 1,000 words here. So, back when I first started in October of 2015, one of the first things I discussed with the commission was Coppermine Village and the maintenance of the detention basins. This is their front detention basin at the intersection of Coppermine Road and Old Village Lane. And they have one Old Village Lane winds all the way through the neighborhood, and there's a large detention basin at the rear. And it's typical for some of the homeowners associations, the regular maintenance of these basins had not been occurring. We gave approval for them to start doing active clearing of these basins annually so that they will function as a stormwater feature as designed. And I had included some of the original subdivision maps in my email to all of you. And you can see that there are a number, there's two outlets and from the closed drainage system into this basin, so inlets into the basin, and then an outlet out of the basin. You know, so this is functioning and designed to function as a stormwater feature. Of course, it was permitted in the early 80s, and originally it was evident on the subdivision plan, there was a wetland line that meandered through this front portion here, and as part of the approval in the 80s was allowed to construct the road and have this basin of the portion of the wetland be converted into stormwater basin. So fast forward to 2020, Homeowners Association, the folks responsible have continued, they're maintaining these basins on alternating years, rear basin in year 1, front basin year 2, et cetera. And this year with the drought, they normally can't get in here until January, February when it's frozen. But because of the severe drought we had this year, they were able to get in early and do this cutting. And we're able to get right in and get everything out. And you can see all the reeds here. These are photos that were taken, and a lot of Phragmites in this area. They have cleared out. There used to be lots of small woody vegetation, small trees, small evergreens, so they got that all cut back. But with 30 plus years of growth and dieback, this bed, the bottom of the basin, has actually started to fill in with organic matter between leaves and, again, Phragmites that have grown and died back over years and prior years when there wasn't regular maintenance taking place. And what happened is this outlet pipe, which for orientation purposes is this. We're standing, that photo that I just had up, we're standing up basically over top of this outlet pipe looking north into the basin. And it's this outlet pipe now is clogged. So when you take a look back up the pipe, we've been able to reach with a shovel. You can see there's the mark line of how the depth of the sediment that's just caked into the pipe, and it's up into the pipe. Now, when you look up in the basin in the street, the basin's free-flowing. The basin, there isn't silt up. You can see the invert of the pipe. You can see the bottom of the basin. So this doesn't necessarily go all the way up the pipe, but certainly a decent enough portion that we can't reach it with a shovel. The fellows have reached in as far as they can. So what we're looking to do, because this is a unique situation and that the homeowners association is responsible for the maintenance of the basins and part of their open space management of their development, but the town of Farmington is responsible for the closed drainage system. So this is kind of one of those hybrid situations where at this point the town of Farmington really needs to step in, and our highway crew needs to get involved in getting this line completely cleared and jetted. And what we'd like to do is reform the outlet. So in order to do that, because this is so clogged here at the outlet end, they can't they can't efficiently jet that line and be able to push all that material out. So what we need to do is create a plunge pool area here, so remove some of this material that's accumulated, jet the line, remove that material that accumulates from jetting the line, and then reform and reshape a plunge pool area that was here, that was evident on the design plans. And I do have the design plans here. They're one of many tabs that are open, but I can certainly pull them up and we can look at that. So that's the request, is really to do this maintenance work in this detention basin so that the stormwater system can function as designed. So the request is to allow this to proceed under maintenance for stormwater, or if the commission feels appropriate, accept the application, and then we'll finish the discussion then at the next meeting if you feel an application is warranted and it's not a maintenance item.
What's the long-term plan for the basin though?
So what we would do is create the plunge pool here at the opening, perhaps put some riprap in so that they have better access to this, and will reduce growth, a vegetative growth right at the opening. At this particular point, that's the extent of the work that's planned. Russ Arnold's considering, doing some additional perhaps reshaping of this basin, but that would take place later on, and we'd come back for a follow-up conversation with the commission if that's the route they decide to go. Because it's probably outside, even though the basin falls to the association's responsibility, it's probably perhaps a little more than what they can achieve on their own. So there's some discussions that still have to take place regarding that. So the immediate work is to get the closed drainage system cleared out and make sure that outlet pipe for the closed drainage system that inlets into the basin is functioning properly.
Shannon, this is Ned. Did you say that originally there was a plunge basin for this and it just kind of filled in?
It has filled in over time, so
Right.
let's see if I can.
So we're
get
just
that.
looking to rebuild the plunge basin that was there originally.
Yes.
Okay.
The one at the side had a larger. So it actually, so it's this outlet here, and when you look at elevations, it actually should have, it had a stone outlet and probably almost a foot higher than the bottom of the basin originally designed. Now, if it was constructed that way, so these, you got to keep in mind, these are design plans, and I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of having an as-built plan.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that, it was, so this is showing this pipe way up here and the bottom of the basin 2 feet down.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that they never went down and did not hog that out at the time of construction, that they just said, okay, here's our pipe, let's put some stone in it and we're good to go. So all I have is the design plan to go on. So that's, you can see that there is clearly a riprap pad. This outlet here has a riprap pad. The riprap here is visible. There, at times, is standing water here, and then you can see where and that does function as a small plunge pool area, and then the vegetative growth has come up around the edge of that riprap pad, but the stone is keeping the vegetation at bay, so you do have a nice separation between the out and the rest of this detention basin. So the idea would be to create recreate that or create it here so that we have the same opportunity, and just perhaps be more mindful with the maintenance. What we also have, I mean, you've got a 30-inch RCP here. This was a 24, and this has a much larger drainage area that comes through this than this 24 on the side.
Okay. I mean, to me, this seems like just maintenance work. I don't know.
I agree with you. So I guess my ultimate question though is, in looking at the outlet pipe and sort of the erosion that's going around that pipe, and this is a 30-inch pipe. I mean, there's not enough room for that water to even just flow out of the pipe naturally. So I'm assuming that at some point in time, somebody's got to come back in here and remove a lot of the material that's grown up here, because I mean, again, if this is sort of at the bottom with what you're showing there, if that's at the bottom of the pipe, I mean, it looks like it could be what, a foot and a half of material there that it's got to go through. So the detention basin has really filled up over time. So is it really serving the purpose anymore?
Yeah, so thankfully there's decent head on this pipe, so the elevation difference from the catch basin and the invert at the basin versus the invert here is probably 3 to 4 foot drop, so there's a decent amount of head on the pipe. And given that the size of this, there's a large area for that water to disperse. But that's one of the reasons. So their landscaper that cut back the Phragmites, just quickly or by hand dug in this little trench to clear that out so the water gets at least out into the middle of the basin. But yeah, some additional long-term work likely needs to be completed, but even the basin on the side, which is roughly that other outlet is roughly in this area. It comes out, it has a plunge pool, and it's basically the same type of thing as that vegetative area. It's just the stone in that area is deeper, and the vegetation was kept at bay a little better. And that vegetated area comes right up to the top of the plunge pool area.
And so the detention basin is supposed to be taken care of by the homeowners association, but the pipe itself is the town's pipe?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we maintain, so it's a homeowners association, but we maintain Old Village, so we even do the snow plowing, so it's not all private. The main roads, Old Village Lane, and I think there's a green, I can't remember, there's 3 streets in there that we maintain. We snow plow, we pave, we do the basin.
They just paved that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the small pod streets off that the homes are on, those are privately owned. They're basically glorified extended driveways that the homes come off of. And they're responsible for those. And then the basins is part of the overall maintenance of the open space for the development. So it's a unique hybrid situation. We don't see this very often, but that's what we have here.
And when is the town looking at trying to do this work?
So we would like to do this as soon as we're finished doing the leaf pickup. So we've got crews that should be available. So we're looking the second week of December, roughly.
All right, so I guess we'll just go through the list and see how everybody feels. Rich?
I'm kind of feeling that this is maintenance work. I assume that Shannon, we're trying to create a little bit of a forebay area in this detention pond so that any sediment comes down the pipe, gets trapped before it gets washed too far out into the basin. Is that correct?
Cool.
Yeah.
We'd be able to easily access any material and get that removed.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's an improvement over the existing condition, and it's maintenance that probably should have been done years ago. But my 2 cents.
Dave?
I don't have any questions. Yeah, it seems like maintenance to me too.
Robert?
I agree. While the work is a little more extensive than we typically are authorizing through standard maintenance work, I would agree. It's the town's responsibility. It's got to be done. So I would put it under no application. It's maintenance work.
Ned?
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't think they need an application. It's just maintenance work. Restoration.
Jay? Jay?
I heard it. It sounds like maintenance work to me. I would agree with everybody else.
Okay.
And Bob,
And
Guy
I
will
did see
take,
Guy's picture.
yeah,
So Guy?
From what I heard, it sounds like maintenance to me too.
I agree as well, that I would just look at this as maintenance, and I'd be more interested in when more work has to be done out here and some of the grading or removal of some of the fill that's accumulated over the years, then that's a different story. But this, I think, is just more straightforward maintenance. So
okay.
I don't have an issue with it either.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will proceed accordingly, and, yeah, I'll let Russ know that it sounds like at least favorable to hearing, a long-term plan for this basin, and, see if that's something that we can get pulled together.
Okay. Anything else you snuck on the agenda?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
Yeah, and I don't have any other thing for planners report. We've got a couple of Eagle Scout projects that I'll probably be taking a look at over the next couple of weeks, so you'll be seeing those here soon, but nothing else for this evening.
Okay. So next up is approved minutes of November 4th inland wetlands meeting, November 8th site walk notes, and November 15th site walk notes. So can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Dave will second.
Any comments, corrections, omissions? We okay? So hearing nothing, those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. Do we need a motion to adjourn, or can we just hang up?
I just want to apologize for being late. I got confused on the date. I kept thinking it was tomorrow.
No problem, Guy. Well, we're gonna do it again in 2 weeks on December 2nd, and I think we got a busier night on December 2nd, so we're no problem.
Thank you.
We don't have a conservation meeting now, right?
No.
No,
This
okay.
is just a special meeting for inland wetlands.
Special meeting, right? Okay.
Just real quick, wish me luck. I have treatment the next 2 days. Just want to
Good
put that out.
luck.
Wish you the
Good
very
luck.
Good luck,
best.
Jay.
Good luck, Jay.
The very best, Jay.
Good recovery to you, Bob.
I'm hanging in there. The last couple of days have been tough, though. I ran into a little bit of a wall, but other than that, I'm okay. but it's actually nice to see other faces too.
Yeah, it's that too, right? A
I'm
few
tired of
laughs.
staring at these walls.
Yeah. We all are.
I know. So
Yeah.
we need a motion to adjourn, or can we just adjourn?
No, we
Adjourn.
can just adjourn. We're good.
Okay.
Good. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Happy
Holiday.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Be safe.
Giving it.
Take
Good night.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night.